All right, I think you're good.
All right. I'm going to call this meeting to order of Smithville Village Council. Roll call.
Allen,
Here.
Haas,
Here.
Heiser,
Here.
Kerr,
Here.
Mullins,
Here.
Thorne,
Here.
All right. The first item that we have is obviously you were emailed a copy of the minutes from our last meeting. Hopefully you've had the opportunity to review those. If you have, I would entertain a motion in a second to approve the minutes that were presented.
A motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Matt
Second.
and Larry, second. We have motion and a second to approve the minutes. Any questions or corrections? Hearing none, roll call.
Allen,
Yes.
Haas,
Yes.
Heiser,
Yes.
Kerr,
Yes.
Mullins,
Yes.
Thorne,
Yes.
All right, I did speak with the police chief earlier this evening. He was at one of the other meetings, as you recall, because he needed to be. We really had nothing to report, so I indicated to him it wasn't necessary for him to join us on this one. So moving on, I have no other correspondence, so we'll move right into the old business. And I think the first thing in old business that we have there is the vacant lot mowing ordinance. And I know that John has been working on this since our last meeting. And what I'm going to do is maybe just turn it over to John. He can share where we're at and what we're thinking and go from there.
I don't have a lot, but I did take a trip around town with Mike to find all the problematic lots. And there are really just three out of dozens of lots that the other lots are taken care of on a regular basis. So very quickly, those lots that I'm talking about, two of them are fairly close to me. One is on Moss Creek Circle and one is next door to me on Northeast Street. The one on Moss Creek Circle is like a third of an acre. Northeast Street is 3/4 of an acre. And there's nothing on those lots that would cause any problems. Other, you don't have to mow around trees. It's just a vacant, empty lot. So if we were to have someone mow those for the village, it would, with what I have, what information I have, is $45 an hour. And I'm sure either one would take more than an hour each. And really, that's all I have on those. I guess I'm kind of waiting for Jason to take a look at this and actually try to write a more clear functioning ordinance that would contain or add both the 155.13 and 93.4 together. And that's where we're at.
And you did obviously, John did reach out to John Parker as well, since we're going to be looking at combining the two. And I think that's something that Jason was copied on. So I think as you look at those, maybe you can take into consideration the questions maybe that John Parker had raised as well. And again, John Hiker did that. Obviously, given that if we're going to be combining the two and it's going to fall under the zoning administrators, obviously responsibilities, we thought it made sense to at least allow him to have some input on the process as well. So what we will do currently for those that are in violation of our current ordinance, Becky will be sending out notices to those property owners this week. Obviously, we had to wait until after July 1st deadline that they were to have them mowed by, but our intent will be that we'll send out letters notifying them of the need to mow them within a certain period of time. And again, if they're not mowed at the end of that period of time, then the village will see that they're mowed. And then obviously then those costs will be obviously passed along or billed to the property owners and will follow the normal procedure. So for the lots that are currently an issue, we will be moving forward under the current ordinance to make certain that those lots do get mowed or maintained at this point. So, all right. So I guess what we're going to do is wait until a future meeting when we have a draft legislation that we can consider for replacement then. Thank you, John.
You're welcome. I did take a look at the property on North Summit Street as well.
Yeah.
Someone there or someone did cut some of the lot. And that obviously has more problems than just mowing the grass there, but
Yeah.
in what I saw, that someone did cut the grass very recently. But obviously
Using those terms, using that term very liberally.
yeah, there's a lot of problems there that
So, and we do have that on the agenda to new business. I'm going to talk a little bit about that property then too. So, I think if is there anything else under old business that anyone wants to bring forth this evening that we did not have on the agenda? If there isn't, then we're going to move into new business. The very first item that you should have on the agenda, it was prepared by Pam and she did send that out to us. And you should have a copy of the tax budget for our approval. And again, she has a cover letter explaining basically again what the purpose is. And again, it's kind of the blueprint that establishes the need to the county for their review, basically to establish the fact that we do have obviously need for the collection of the taxes that are obviously due to us. And that's kind of in a nutshell. If Pam wants to add anything, she'd be welcome to.
Nope, that's pretty much it.
So, and again, this is the first step in the process. Obviously, as we continue through the summer, we'll begin to look at obviously adding a year to the 5-year capital plan, as well as begin the discussions on appropriations themselves as well. So, I guess, are there any questions concerning the budget that's been prepared that will be presented to the County Budget Commission?
And all I need is a motion for that.
Yes. So if there are no questions, I would entertain a motion in a second.
I make a motion to approve the 2021 tax budget.
A second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the 2021 tax budget. Any questions or further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Haas,
Yes.
Heicher,
yes.
Kerr,
Yes.
Mullins,
Yes.
Thorne,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Okay, the next items that we have on the agenda are basically fiscal documents that you've been given. You do have the June 2020, obviously income tax report. Again, as you see, we continue to obviously see us running behind what we anticipate. Again, portion of it, I think we're hoping that a portion that is related to obviously final returns that have been extended to July 15th. We would anticipate a number of the folks that may have owed us money obviously had no need in which to pay us, which we normally would have seen in April. Obviously, once we get past the middle of July, I think next month we'll have a clear understanding of whether or not it's a timing issue in relationship to the lower revenues or whether or not it's an actual loss that we may see relative to our plan. But again, that's been given to you and we will continue to track that. The other items have been given you as well. You should have the cash report, which shows each of the funds. And it shows obviously expenditures, the receipts and expenditures for the current period, as well as year to date. And it also shows the encumbered portion, as well as the ending balances of each of those funds. So that is the one piece. And the other thing that you should have is you should have our June revenue report, detailed report that shows obviously all the items in a detailed form. And then you also do have the village for June, the expense account report, which again is a detailed report and showing the expense by every single line item. So, and again, I don't know if there's any questions concerning those documents, but these are documents that you get each month, which allow you to have a sense of obviously the not only the revenues, but the expenditures that we have throughout the course of the year. So,
And I will have the summary level financial report at the next meeting for June.
okay. So are there any questions on those items?
One question, what's the meaning of parkland acquisition? Acquisition?
Tom, I'll let you answer that question.
Yeah. Originally, that was set for the fact that there was a number of years ago, the park was much smaller. And it was used to be, I believe, the Scheller property. And so when that became available, the village bought that land. And I believe if my memory serves me correctly, I think that there was a committee that raised money, private money, in which to be able to actually buy the land. And really, if you look at it, it's the portion that the soccer fields and the new ball diamond and also where the memorial is, all that had not been part of the park prior to obviously that period of time. And that's what that fund was established for. So,
Okay.
any other questions? If not, then we're going to move on to the another item I put on the agenda under new business, and John Hiker alluded to, and this is the property on North Summit Street. As most of you are aware, we had begun the process under the old ordinances we had in place in relationship to trying to make certain that this property became compliant. But then again, too, when we tried to mail those notices, they were not signed for. That all happened about the time that COVID-19 began. Obviously with the court system closing, and obviously not taking cases. On our side, we decided it didn't make a lot of sense for us to move forward with that. But if any of you, and I would encourage all of you to take the opportunity to drive by that property. It only continues to decline. I have received some complaints, not only from the neighbors, even from other people in the village concerned whether or not, what we're doing and about what's going on there. I guess what I'm going to do is, I spoke with the chief earlier tonight. I think probably at this point in time, what we need to do is, pick that back up. I'm going to send an email to Jason and John Parker, both of you, and I'll copy the chief. I guess the question is, we paused that process. Number one, do we need to go back, or can we pick that process back up at where we're at and serve that notice, to her, the property owner? And then the other question I'd throw out to you to weigh in on after I send you the email, and I'm not asking for an answer tonight, is the fact that since then we have passed the nuisance ordinance. So, and I believe that obviously that it would be effective. Do we want to reassess, and do we want to look whether or not this property now falls under that nuisance ordinance? So I'm going to send an email to you, Jason, and John Parker, and I figure the two of you can come to a conclusion as to what our next logical step is. But I do really think that we need to obviously pick it back up and move forward. Obviously, it's not going to correct itself, and the issue is becoming, I think, even more and more of a problem, particularly for that neighborhood. So, so that's what my intent is. And again, I guess I would encourage council to look at it. It's really a shame that, the people are having to live beside that. I think if it was beside any of us, we really have concern. So if that sounds okay, Jason?
Yeah, do you remember when we passed that? Everything runs together in my mind during COVID.
Yeah, I understand. Beverly, maybe I'll have Beverly do is look it up before I leave tonight, and I'll put that information in the email I send to you.
Okay.
Sound good?
Yep.
I'll give you
Sounds
that.
great.
Because she can pull that relatively easy. All right. That's the only thing there. I wanted to bring council up to it. Is there anything else under new business that we need to actually take action on? There might be one thing at the bottom that I've added on my end that I emailed out, but I'm going to go ahead and go through the liaison reports, and we're going to talk about a couple other items, and then we'll come back, possibly take action on one more thing. So I guess if there's nothing else under new business, we're going to go on to liaison reports. And first we'll start with Scott.
Yeah, the only thing is I had a little bit of positive recognition for Mike, not only for the trip that he took with John to look at the properties, but also to, he took the initiative to get some additional lighting to place on the village large dump truck, and also on the back of the dump truck only had attention getting lights on the rear, and the backhoe didn't have any. So I thought that was a good move to keep our workers safe when they're out there working on it. That was all I had. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Scott. Next would be Larry with fire.
Yeah, just the runs are down. The fire and EMS runs are down actually 20%. They said the national average is down 22%. That's because people that are hurt or sick call the squad, but they do not want to go to the hospital. They recommend if you're injured, go to the hospital, it's safe. And the new tanker truck is about half done, so it's moving along. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Larry. I don't think there's anything else with police, but I'll ask Rob if you have anything with Veterans Memorial.
No, nothing. Talked to Dana the other day, and he said they were kind of looking at maybe putting a service dog up there and a memorial for that, kind of looking down at the memorial, but the prices that they've been getting have been extremely high. So he's just kind of kicking that around at this point. So, but no action or anything has been definite yet. So.
All right. Moving on, then we have Park, and would that be Matt?
Okay, communicated with Nate Butcher. They have just a few more games for Smithville Youth Baseball. They'll be done next week. Next Wednesday, July 15th, 7 p.m., we're going to have our first, at least my first, park committee meeting, the new committee. And then finally, the group from Smithville girls, I guess it would be middle school and maybe some high school girls, would like to use the park for pickup games of soccer this summer, now that things are opening up more. It wouldn't be an organized practice of sort. It's just a open game just to get some cardiovascular and skills going by playing games with girls from the Smithville organization, middle school and high school, and they would follow the state guidelines for the Responsible Restart Ohio as well. So is there any need for anything further that anyone can think of based on what we've done so far with the use of the park? I know, from the perspective of the public, people can come and have pickup games of baseball or soccer or whatever other sport they want at any point in time. I just bring it up because it's sort of a gray area in that it's a school group of players, I guess, if you want to state it that way, but I'm not sure that we need to really do anything further. If Jason has any thoughts.
I don't think so. I think if they show up and want to play a game, that's fine.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Matt and Jason. And also, just for full transparency, I would be the one that's sort of organizing these. So I've over the last several years, I have a lot of my kids play soccer, and so we've ended up knowing a lot of people that also enjoy to play the game. And so my kids now, my older kids are, high school and late middle school. So it would be adults and kids of those ages, and they're not necessarily all from Smithville. So they'd be potentially from Worcester or Apple Creek, or West Salem and places like that. So I just want to make sure that I was being transparent, that most likely if there's an organized, it's kind of oxymoron, organized pickup team, but that I would be the one that would be facilitating that more or less. So I just wanted to reach out to Matt and also to the group and see what the group's comfort level was before I initiate any of those communications with the people I usually do. So thank you.
Sure. And again, we do have posted at the park the recommended guidelines. So obviously those are out there for anyone that uses the park, whether it's individuals or others as well. So, right. Anything else, Matt?
No, sir.
Okay. Then moving on, streets and sidewalks, John.
Most paving finished asphalting on East Prospect and South Mill today. So those are done. Love Coast striping will be here Thursday. That's all I know.
They look great, John, especially East Prospect Street. That is
Yeah, looks nice.
Yeah, very smooth. I drove on it this evening.
Yeah. So, okay. Then moving on, I think the only other thing we have is finance personnel. Trish?
Yeah, just a reminder, John, thank you for your 5-year plan. For the rest of you, if you could just start thinking about those. Tell me again, Pam, is it 5,000 or over that we're looking for right now?
Yeah.
On a 5-year? Okay.
Well,
So
I guess 5,000 is what we'd capitalize. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be 5,000 as a threshold. I would look at anything that has any capital item that has a useful life over 10 years.
okay, so that was a better explanation than what I gave, I think, last time. But
Okay.
if you guys could just start thinking about that, because we are going to start working on appropriations pretty soon, and so that's the first step. If you can just get those to me whenever, start talking to your people under you, or Mike and all of them, to see if there's anything, equipment or anything that's going to be costly. So just a reminder. And then I know you heard me, I was talking to Tom, I did get our infectious disease emergency plan finished from the insurance company. So be expecting a copy of that as soon as we go through it and make sure all of my revisions are good. But it is something that we're probably going to need to start looking at. In a nutshell, it's just, if we have to go back through this again, so-and-so will be wearing masks, people won't be riding together, basically what we're doing, but it will be on official paperwork and it'll be posted so that it covers our behinds in the legal aspect of things. It is a long document though, but just be expecting that, because we'll probably send it out to you once it's complete, once it's checked. That's all I have.
All right, thank you, Trish. Anything else from any of the committees? If not, I'll go into mayor's report and things that I have to share for information. Water tower bids will be advertised on the 10th and the 17th. The opening is going to be July the 30th at 3 p.m. Village Hall. It will be administered by CT Consultants, our engineer, but they will open those bids on, like I say, on the 30th at 3 p.m. Then they will take those bids to review and obviously check those before they might give us a letter of recommendation. And also we're working within that time frame, because the other component of this would be, obviously we do have to submit an application for OWDA in relationship to the loan portion of this, and Pam's going to be working with myself and Becky on that. But they need also actual bid numbers to be able to submit that. And that's why we've set the deadline for July 30th. So we'll have those prior to the date and deadline that we have for submission to be on the OWDA agenda for consideration. So we'll be working on that. The other things that just came through today, and you will be probably seeing at the future meeting, and I did forward it to both Jason and Pam for the review. AgriSludge, which is our contract operator of our water treatment plant and our sewer treatment plant, They did send through an email, an offer of contract extension. This is something the BPA will meet Monday at their meeting and they will discuss it. Just in a brief overview, I believe that they will obviously vote to recommend that council would extend the contract with AgriSludge. AgriSludge has chosen not to increase the rate that they're charging us. They cited obviously the economy and they know the effects upon obviously the village. Also, they did mention the fact that during the course of this past contract, they were responsible for mowing, but when the mower quit, rather than buy a new one, Mike and Adam offered to pick that up. So now they're doing that, and it's no longer falls under the contract. So given that, and I think the only other thing that was referenced in the email is that and I guess there may be, and I'll always say it simply because it relates to personnel, there may be a change in personnel, and as a result, initially under a contract, when they first started with us, there were a lot of things maintenance-wise they felt the need for us to be able to catch up and to accomplish. But they really feel, the operator currently feels as though they've really gotten us up to the place we need to be. I think that they're considering a change in personnel, which means we may go to a part-time position. And what he alluded to in the email is obviously if we felt comfortable with that and they made that change, that there'd be an adjustment in the contract based upon the actual cost of the part-time position versus what we currently have as a full-time position, which again, I think I give credit to them. Obviously they could have continued just with the full-time, but I think that they genuinely believe that the needs for the level of maintenance we've done the last few years no longer exists. And as a result, they would acknowledge that. And with a change in possible personnel, that they feel that would be the time in which for us to consider what the staffing levels need to be, which may be a cost savings to the village, particularly I think in the sewer fund area. So, but again, I did forward to Pam for review fiscally. And if you have questions, and also Jason, just for you to review it from a legal standpoint. So that way, if they approve it, BPA, then I intend to put it on the next council agenda for approval by council for us to extend that. So, okay. The other thing that I put in here, also on here, and I emailed it late, and I guess, I don't know if Pam, you had a chance to look at your email that I just sent earlier.
No, I did.
Did you?
No,
I don't know.
I did not.
What that's okay. What it is Sandy, who has obviously been the individual that's managed our utility contracts, because obviously we buy, from suppliers. She did feel as though the market, our contract with electric, which electric's really the area that we have the most expenditure utility wise. Gas, we use so little that even though we had substantial savings the last time in the actual rate, the usage is so low that really there isn't substantial. On the electric side, we saw under the last contract substantial savings over the previous, but she felt that the market was such, so she did put it out. What I sent to you in the email is what she had put together as far as the offers from all the companies that she basically shopped our rates to. And she is making a recommendation. Our current contract ends May 2021. But obviously why she felt that it would be in our best interest, consider committing to extending with the lowest, obviously, bidder that's presented her numbers at this point, because obviously the utilities are something that change all the time. She's feeling as though that, there's a really good rate. It will obviously be lower than what we're currently paying. And she gave us a sheet showing the projected savings that we would see. And again, it's one of those things that basically we're playing kind of the market and deciding whether or not we think, the electric rates, what the trend may be between now and when our contract ends in May of 21. And again, too, what she said is that obviously we continue out of the terms of our current contract through May, but by, obviously us considering if we take action to approve, committing to this new amount based on May 21st or May of 2021, then obviously we would partake in the rates that she's given us. So if you want to look at that, and I guess what I would ask then is maybe what we could do is at the next meeting, then obviously I'm assuming that what I'll need to do is ask council to approve. And I think I did send it to everyone, so everybody will have it as well. And if anyone else is into commodities market, utilities, and want to weigh in, you're welcome to. But I know the last time that we had, or that we started working with her, I know that I went to Orville Utilities and spoke with, obviously, the head at Orville Utilities and talked a little bit about it, which was useful to us from the standpoint of, obviously, the information they gave us relative to the direction that we went under the last contract. So anyways, that's what we'll plan on doing. So if you want to, like I say, get back to me between now and the next meeting, Pam, and then what we'll do is plan on taking action at the next meeting then, okay? And I think those are the only things that I'm aware of. Again, too, obviously, I know that Pam and Becky and myself will be working in relationship to some of the things we need to be doing relative to OPWC and the OWDA loan. And also we're going to be working on the CARES Act and setting that up to make certain we're eligible in which to receive money from the federal government relationship to COVID-19. So any question on those or any other questions for me at all that you may have?
It's not as much of a question, but just a reminder that for the next meeting, I won't be present. We'll be away on vacation.
Okay, I appreciate that. And I guess I just would remind the rest of council, obviously, it's since Scott's given us that information, I think it's really important that obviously the rest of us are involved. That way, then obviously we will be able to take action as necessary. So is there anything else that needs to be brought before us? If not,
One thing, Larry had some questions regarding the CARES Act monies and the relations to the Central Fire District. I'd like to take some time, do a little bit more research, Larry, and send out a group email. I've been working with Jason on it, and unfortunately, from what we can see at this point, we cannot donate or give the fire district any money from what we receive, but I want to do a little bit more research and put an email together and send it out to everybody.
Okay, that's good.
thank you, Pam.
Mhm.
All right. If there's nothing else, then what I would do is move to the bills. And again, you should have a list of bills that obviously, because of due dates prior to this meeting, have already been paid. And then also you have a list of bills that are to be approved that will be paid after this meeting. And again, too, are there any questions concerning the bill lists that have been presented to you? If not, again, I would entertain a motion to approve both of the lists as presented.
Motion to approve the bills in the amount of $43,512.62.
And do we have a second? And that was?
Trish, I
Okay,
think.
Trish. Okay. I just want to make certain that Beverly had both of you. And so we have motion and a second to approve bills. Any questions? Hearing none, roll call.
Heicher,
Yes.
Kerr,
Yes.
Mullins,
Yes.
Thorne,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes,
Haas,
Yes.
All right. I think if there's nothing else, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn the business meeting.
Question.
Oops, you got something?
I was just asked today if we were anywhere close to meeting at Village Hall for meetings.
No.
Just checking with Jason, I think.
I thought the governor shut it down through July.
So
I told him I thought that it was at least through July, but I wasn't sure.
they signed some new orders today, and I think that extends it until, from what I'm reading, it looks like until they tell us otherwise.
Oh, nice.
So they're not giving us a date anymore.
Can you forward where I've been looking, and I guess I'm just preoccupied. Can you just forward a link to me so I can read through that too?
Uh-huh.
Just the updated whatever's going on.
Yep, sure can.
All right.
Good, Larry, I'm good, thanks.
So we have
Okay.
motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second,
Okay, motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
hi.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and only notes on there is BPA meeting is Monday night at 6 PM here at Village Hall. Any of you want to come, you're welcome to join us. And then the council meeting is, next one is July 21st. And we'll do Zoom again at 7 PM. All right, well, I appreciate everybody's attendance tonight and your input.
All right, night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thanks.
But